Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, our group will discuss about Syiah Imamiyah. Before we go further, we will discuss first about the history of Syiah and the types of Syiah. The term Syiah itself means party or faction, and the term first appears with reference to those who followed Ali in the wars that he fought as a caliph against Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan.
In 657, at the Battle of Siffin, Ali agreed to arbitration with Muawiyah, effectively conceding his claim to be the sole leader of the Muslim community. A further meeting in 659 led to a split in the caliphate. Some, especially the Syrian elements, declared for Muawiyah, while others, especially Imamis elements, supported Ali. Ali's willingness to negotiate his status created a resentment among his followers and gave rise to a renegade movement known as the Harijites for their withdrawal Furuj, from Ali's following. In 661, a member of this movement attacked Ali, who died 2 days later. Muawiyah was then recognized as caliph, even in regions that had been supportive of Ali.
Three branches of Shiism today, which is Zaydis, Ismailis, and Ithna Asharis, which is Imamiyah. Of the 11th Imam, the Shia further split into perhaps as many as 20 different groups. The most successful of them believed that the Imamate had passed to a son of Askari, which is Muhammad, who had gone into occultation, which is Ghaibah, and who as the Mahdi would return to usher in the Day of Judgment. Because this group believed in the exactly 12, which is in Arabic Ithna Ashar, Imams, they became known as the Ithna Ashariyah or 12 Shia. They are also sometimes called the Imamiyah or Imamis for their views of divinely designed imamate, or the Ja'fariyah or Ja'faris for following the jurisprudence of the 6th Imam Ja'far. The 12 Shia are the largest of the three Shi'i groups extant today.
Firstly, the difference between Syiah Imamiyah and Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah is regarding their Shahadah. In Syiah, they are adding and also reducing some of the words that has been pledged by Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. In Syiah Shahadah, they are mentioning that Sayyidina Ali as the wali of Allah because they believe that Sayyidina Ali is the one that should be highlighted and glorified among the other companions. It started when Abdullah bin Sabah, a Yahudi man, mentioned that he really loved Ahlul Bayt and really fluttered with Sayyidina Ali and claimed that there was a will from Rasulullah SAW appointing Sayyidina Ali to replace his place as a leader after he passed away. After they mention about Sayyidina Ali, they will mention about the Wali of Allah because they believe that the Wali of Allah will be the guidance, the nur for the other people. Next, they will mention about Sayyidatina Fatimah's children because they believe that and they firmly believe that Sayyidatina Fatimah's children will be the Hujjatullah. And lastly, they will curse the Prophet's companion, which are Sayyidina Abu Bakar, Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab, Sayyidina Uthman bin Affan, and also the Prophet's wives, which are Sayyidatina Aisyah and Sayyidatina Hafsah.
The other characteristic that lead to misguidance of Syiah Imamiyah belief is they accuse Sayyidina Abu Bakar, Umar, Uthman and Muawiyah as four idols of Quraysh, and those who follow them are the enemies of Allah. The follower of Syiah Imamiyah assume that Sayyidina Ali is the true successor of Prophet Muhammad SAW. Therefore, they choose to reject the other early Khulafa al-Rashidin. They stated that Sayyidina Abu Bakar, Uthman and Umar as kafir because they assume that those Khalifa had confiscated Ali's place as a Khalifa after Rasulullah had passed away. This is absolutely wrong because the selection of the Khalifa during Abu Bakar's selection was made by the Shura system.
The third differences between Shia and Sunni is practicing mut'ah marriage. The cause of misguidance is mut'ah marriage is prohibited in Islam because it is something like a contract marriage. They stated that nikah mut'ah can be 4 times and above. Their main aim is for the sake of enjoyment, not to take care and be responsible as a husband and wife that has been taught in Islamic teaching.
Differentiation between Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah and Syiah is Syiah claiming that being a Muslim is not one of the conditions to perform pilgrimage. So this is very different with Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah because one of the conditions we must fulfill to perform pilgrimage is we must a Muslim, as stated in our Rukun Islam, and non-Muslim cannot perform pilgrimage.
Malaysia has organized many alternatives to curb the activity of Syiah from expanding. According to Dr. Osman Mustafa, the director of JAKIM, any spread of this deviant teaching is prohibited as it is not in parallel with the true Islamic belief based on the Quran and Hadith. In July 24, 2013, Kementerian Dalam Negeri had declared the status of Syiah organization is illegal. Why Shiism is prohibited in Malaysia? First thing first, we must have to consider the fact that Syiah could be a threat to Islamic unity if this matter were not being resolved quickly. The 1996 fatwa elaborated on Islam's constitutional status as the official state religion by narrowing the definition of Muslim. The head of Malaysian Islamic Development Department described Shiism as a cancer that needs to be prevented from spreading in the best possible way, before it becomes worse to the point of being a threat to Muslim unity. The real threat from Shiism then comes from proselytizing, a common reference echoed by Sunni communities elsewhere. In the Malaysian context, the fear is more visceral. If the real national identity is tied to the Sunni faith, then diluting the faith has a direct impact on the national identity as defined in the 1996 fatwa. Of course, it is also indicative on the conservativeness of those who are at the highest level of Malaysian religious and political leadership. On the other hand, Malaysian government can't afford to risk the pure Islamic teaching used by the majority of Malaysia being tainted with this deviant belief. There is no way we could accept a religion that is undoubtedly wrong. Malaysian Sharia law does not recognize other beliefs such as Shiism, and Malaysian citizens are not allowed to practice or spread this teaching. They should not be given any right in our country as Muslims in Malaysia adhere to the Shafi'i sect of Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Thus, it could create a confusion among Muslims, which will require an expert to resolve any problem arise. Thus, the prohibition of Shi'a activity in Malaysia is not based solely on the deviant teaching, but considering the safety of this country as well. The head of Malaysia Islamic Development Department emphasized that the spread of the Shi'i faith is not just about opposing the fatwa, but it is the issue of national security. This prohibition worked as a method to maintain the safety of our country from chaos caused by the deviant teaching, as what happened in other countries such as Syria, Iraq, Pakistan, and so on. We can't afford bloodshed involving Muslims and Shi'i Muslims as what happened in those countries. It is necessary for us to take a lesson from those accidents. In short, as a Muslim, we must prevent the spreading of any kind of deviant teaching in any possible way, starting from the very basic individual level. We must seek for knowledge for us to be able to understand and decide which path is wrong or true.